Hello. Yes, hello. If you're not sure why I am starting with hello, then I know two things about you. One is that you're watching this having not watched my streams, or not many of them anyway, and also that you're watching this before or in place of any of my channel updates that I've uploaded on my various channels. There will be a channel update coming to WWE EBEZA, by the way. It's just the start of January is such a busy run for wrestling that I decided that the channel update would have to wait for some essential videos that I have to make. So for now, you're just going to have to accept the fact that the intro now begins with hello. It's alright, I botched it. I did my old intro and then had to start again. But here we are. Anyway, we are here to talk about WWE Day 1. We are going to try and predict the results of tonight's pay-per-view. I stayed up and watched SmackDown last night, and that was pointless, wasn't it? So if some of these predictions are a little bit wacky, maybe even out of sorts, even for me, that would be because I'm running on like maybe 3.5 hours sleep if I'm lucky. So I'm a bit tired. No, a wee bit tired. But we will power through. So we're going to start with the match that's definitely going first, the one on the pre-show. It's a tag team match player between Cesaro and Ricochet and Ridge Holland and Sheamus. Now, I just don't see a world where Ridge Holland and Sheamus don't win this. Like, Sheamus is like the biggest star of the four historically, and Ridge Holland seems to be, you know, getting that rub from teaming with Sheamus, so I feel like they pick up the win. WWE are quite happy to sacrifice either Cesaro or Ricochet, and always have been. I just feel like Ridge Holland and Sheamus win. It's probably not quite clean, because they're gonna get their heat brother, but they, that's not a saying, heat brother, but whatever. You know, they've got to keep their heelishness. You gotta make sure everyone knows they're bad boys. So, it's probably not going to be clean, but I am going to definitely go for Ridge Holland and Sheamus to win on the pre-show. Next, I was going to work my way down the Wikipedia page, but the two biggest matches, one of which is almost definitely going to main event, are next on Wikipedia. So I'm actually now going to roll to the bottom and then work up, I think is my plan. So, we're going to go straight to the Raw Tag Team Championship match between RK Bro and the Street Profits. Street Profits obviously won the RK Bro-nament to get here, and there's not been any real interaction between these two teams. It's been a strange one. Like, RK Bro's entire feud has been with Alpha Academy, and then they're going to defend the titles against Street Profits, having basically dealt with the whole thing of, can we RKO this man? Yes. There you go. It's a tough one, purely because Street Profits are a very decorated and established and successful tag team. They've won all of the sets of tag belts at least once that are available in WWE, for the men anyway. They haven't won the women's ones, you know, and are unlikely to, I will say, but not guaranteed not to. But, yeah, they're a successful team, but it feels like RK Bro are still in the middle of a load of momentum. But Orton did tease the RKO to Riddle. I don't know if that's a sign they're gonna break them up suddenly and soon. But I think I have to go with RK Bro to retain here. It just doesn't feel like... It doesn't feel like a WWE breakup where they've hinted at it. You know, they've only just broke up AJ and Amos, which I know Vince doesn't care about the tag division at all, but they're in the midst of one tag team breakup story. I'd be surprised if they started running another one concurrently on the same show. I wouldn't be that surprised, actually, but I'm not going to predict it, put it that way. So I'm going to predict RK Bro to keep rolling, pick up the win, retain the tag titles. I think they're pretty popular. Well, they are pretty popular. I think they're pretty popular within the structure of WWE. I think people are probably enjoying what they're doing. You know, so probably not even really in talks about breaking them up. Although we are getting into WrestleMania season, so maybe that's going to be a WrestleMania match, Orton and Riddle. Who knows? But for now, I think they stay together. and win. Moving on. Next, we have a match that I wasn't able to run a match simulation of. Drew McIntyre versus Madcap Moss. Madcap Moss isn't in WWE 2K20, and I don't use Creator Superstars for match simulations. But we're not on EBEZASimsgames, we're on WWE Beza here, and Drew McIntyre wins. The end. Like, is there anything else to add to that? No, there is not. There's a chance there's a super dirty finish where Madcap Moss gets a really, really dodgy win. But realistically, Drew McIntyre wins this one, doesn't he? Next, probably my first real dilemma of the card. Becky Lynch defending the Raw Women's Championship against Liv Morgan. Becky's already successfully defended the title against Liv Morgan, which actually makes this tougher, in my opinion, to predict, because they seem pretty keen on Liv. They seem to be, giving her a decent push. Does that mean they're going to have her beat Becky Lynch for the title in the build-up to WrestleMania season? Now, there's plenty of time for her to lose it back, or what have you. My instinct is just to go with Becky all the way through to Mania, honestly. Why wouldn't you have your women's titles on Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair going into WrestleMania? Like, why wouldn't you? They're your two biggest stars, at least female-wise, maybe overall, two of your biggest stars. It's... I sort of want to predict the swerve here and predict that Liv gets the feel-good moment. It's day one of, the new year. They want to give us something feel-good, don't they? And the only other feel-good I can see that would really matter that much would be Big E retaining, and that doesn't feel as big, because that's just someone keeping their title that they've already earned. It's not a moment. You know what I mean? Someone winning their first title is a moment. Someone retaining their title happens all the time. It's a tough one. No, I'm going to go with my head, not my heart. And by that I don't mean I want Liv Morgan to win necessarily. It's just the sentimental side of me thinks they might give Liv the win because the fans will like it. But the business side of me thinks we're heading into WrestleMania season. Of course, Becky Lynch is one of your women's champions, and Charlotte Flair's your other. Like, why wouldn't it be? Why would they switch either of those belts right now? So yeah, I'm gonna go Becky Lynch, but I'm not super confident in that one. I would not be surprised to see Liv Morgan pick up the win at all in that one. But final answer, Becky Lynch. I'd be interested to see who's the favourites with the bookies in that match. Probably Becky, but I don't think it'll be that. I don't think it'll be very far apart. Anyway, next match, Edge versus The Miz. So, Edge has been very difficult to predict. When I've been, obviously I've not been uploading match predictions for every pay-per-view and stuff like that, but I do still follow wrestling, I still watch it, and I still predict things in my head, and sometimes on Twitter, link in the description below. Cheap plug. I keep betting against Edge because he's the old dude. He's got to start putting some of these new guys over, and I know Miz isn't a new guy, and I know Seth Rollins wasn't a new guy, but it's like that. Rather than put the new guy over, it's the next step in that evolution, isn't it? It's that pass the torch, so. There's the established star needs to put the new guy over is one mentality a lot of people have a lot of times, to create new stars. But there's also the create new legends thing, where eventually they're going to run out of legends and they need new ones. So, Edge needs to put Seth over, which I know he lost to Seth, but I think it was the Hell in a Cell match that Edge won, and I really didn't think he would. I can't remember now, but there was definitely one of their matches, might have even just been their first match Edge won or something, and I was just like, wow, really? And I get they gave Seth his win back, but sick of 50-50 booking, guys. But here, I do feel like if they're saving Edge's scalp for someone, it might be someone newer that needs it more. And I feel like they know Miz can handle as many losses as he needs to. Miz doesn't even win that much, but he just remains super over, and that's testament to how good he is, especially with the microphone. So I think they're going edge here. I think they're going edge. I am going really babyface heavy, although the Raw Tag Team title match is all babyfaces. And on the pre-show I pick the heels, but I'm going really babyface heavy except for Becky Lynch on this, but hey ho, we'll see how that continues. I think I'm going to stop doing that soon, so it'll be fine. But yeah, I think Edge wins. But again, just like the previous match, I wouldn't be surprised if I was totally wrong on this one. I'd be like, I mean, especially because on the Go Home show on this week's Raw, Edge finished with the upper hand, and WWE math tells you if you have the upper hand on the Go Home Raw, you lose on the pay-per-view. Ooh, do I go with the mathematics? I should do a video. Maybe I'll try and keep like a spreadsheet this year, and at the end of the year, I might try and do a video that explores how good the maths actually is. You know, because that's a well-known theory. I don't think I'm blowing anyone's minds with that. That's out there. That's known. That if you're on top on the go home, you lose on the pay-per-view. But I'm not taking that into account here. I'm just going with gut feeling and a bit of logic, I guess, and I'm going with Edge. Next, the Usos versus the New Day. It's the tag team equivalent of John Cena and Randy Orton in 2009 and 10, except I would argue the matches are generally of a higher quality, and that's nothing against the Cena-Orton feud. I actually enjoyed their feud. I just didn't always enjoy the booking of it. But I am well off the rails here. Let's get back to 2022, shall we, Beza? The Usos, the New Day. The Usos are the reigning, defending, undisputed heavyweight SmackDown Tag Team Champions. Who went into my Paul Heyman there, just from out of nowhere, which is interesting. Don't know how he's going to play out in this show. And they're defending against the Usos, they're defending against the New Day, who are doing pretty well. Woods is King Woods now. He won King of the Ring, and they're having a decent sized push. They were going up against Reigns recently, and they're still dealing with Reigns indirectly via the Usos, I guess. I feel like I should predict at least one title change on this show. Is this arguably the most likely? It's possible, isn't it? I was thinking as I was talking this up, I was going to go Usos, and then I've sort of managed to think myself round that which other title's going to change hands. I mean, the WWE title definitely could. The Universal title always could, because betting against Brock Lesnar is always a bold move, but so is betting against Roman Reigns, which is what makes that one so tough. But, yeah. You know what? Let's go for it. Let's go New Day. Let's go New Day to win. I'm not convinced about that. But there was the line on SmackDown, not obviously the Waste of Time SmackDown I watched last week's, where Reigns turned on Heyman. Before he turns on Heyman, he says sort of, I don't like when my cousins lose, or something. And I don't know, there's just something about that line that felt like it was done for a video package. At some point in the future, it felt significant in some weird way, so maybe there's a bit of a lose-lose on the horizon for the Usos. So yeah, sure, let's go New Day. I'm not confident in that one whatsoever. It's actually a relatively difficult show to predict, not gonna lie, this show. Up next, speaking of Roman Reigns, we're going to now predict the Universal Championship defense against Brock Lesnar. Right, so this has a lot of difficulties to predict. First of all, Roman Reigns, you don't bet against Roman Reigns. Second of all, Brock Lesnar, you don't bet against Brock Lesnar. I don't think they're going to go for a 60-minute time limit draw like Hangman and Danielson did. So I gotta hope they don't. And I think this match will be great, but I think it'll be great in its brevity. I don't think it needs to go super long. And then you've got the Paul Heyman factor. Was he being kicked out? A big swerve? Is he going to side back with Roman Reigns against Lesnar? Is he going to finally re-side with Lesnar and turn face, which seems odd to me, to try and to try and have face Paul Heyman at all, really. It's a difficult sell. He's just such a natural heel. Like, you know. But, you know, he's not been faced for quite some time, so maybe they just fancy a change. I don't know. Is he not going to be involved at all? Is that going to be the swerve? That he doesn't have any influence on this? Like, and then maybe Brock wins and Heyman can be like, I told you I was trying to protect you. And that's sort of how he tries to get back in Reigns' graces. Because Heyman has not got involved in the result of a match probably since the CM Punk Money in the Bank denial that he did, which was what, 2013, maybe 12. It was a long time ago. It was like nearly 9-10 years ago. So yeah, it's tough, this one. It's very tough. I think they were emphasizing how close Reigns is to catching Lesnar's streak. Not streak, you know, like longest title reign. So on the basis of that alone, because it's so hard to separate them in any other way, I'm going to go Reigns. I feel like they're going to push him to the longest reign. And maybe by quite some distance if he gets through this challenge, who knows. But yeah, I'm going to go Reigns. And again, I'm not confident in it. There's quite a few here I could easily see myself being wrong. I think the last 4 matches in a row that I predicted, I could just as easily see myself being wrong. So it's going to be a bit of a sketchy one for me, this one. Finally, the WWE Championship Fatal 4-Way match that they're insisting on keep calling sudden death, like all Fatal 4-Ways and all wrestling matches, with very few exceptions, aren't fall under sudden death rules. 1 pinfall ends it. Like, I don't know why they've just got such a boner for the term sudden death over this match, but it's probably a Vince thing, isn't it? Keep saying sudden death! Like, so, whatever. And Big E is defending against Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, and Bobby Lashley. Now, if we go the mathematical route, Kevin Owens was the only one who showed up on Raw, so I guess he ended up on top, so he ain't winning. And then go back a week before, it was Seth and Owens that were standing tall over Big E and Lashley, so it's not Rollins. And Lashley dominated all 3 of them to get into the match 3 weeks before or 4 weeks before. So Big E is actually the weakest butt going into this match, theoretically, I guess. So, and he took a spear from Lashley on that Raw where Lashley got stomped into the steps. So I guess mathematically Big E retains, which I could definitely see happening. I could honestly see a world where any of these 4 win and go into WrestleMania as the champion, or even lose it before WrestleMania. Like, you know, I could see that with any of them. I do feel like Kevin Owens he's got his new, you know, his newly turned heel. He's got his new character. It's great fun. He's just signed a new contract. All the smarks, all the IWC know this. So I think it's not him. I think he's almost too obvious for the Smark fans. Unfortunately, because I love me some Kevin Owens. But I think we might actually see an Owens and Rollins tag team run. So for that reason, I'm going to eliminate Rollins from contention. And I think the most boring thing they could do would be put the title back on Lashley. As good as his run was, I'm not calling Lashley or his WWE title run boring by any stretch. I just feel like that's the least interesting story to tell at this point, is Lashley dominated. Hey, look, Lashley dominated. You know, I feel like Big E retaining, and I don't know where they go from there, but I just feel like that's slightly more interesting. So, I'm going to go Big E. But I'm super not confident in that. In fact, even saying it out loud, I was like, I think I'm picking like the least likely one to win here. But no, I think that's the other thing, is they've been talking up again the odds of, and the way they've been talking it up, the odds of Big E losing the title without being pinned has been a strange one, because they've been talking about there's almost infinite possibilities and none of them favour Big E. And I'm like, 3 of them favour Big E. Big E pins Kevin Owens, Big E pins Seth Rollins, or Big E pins Bobby Lashley. They favour him. Why are you saying they don't exist? And almost infinite possibilities. Well, no, there's 12, isn't there? There's 3 people for Big E to pin. There's 3 people for Seth Rollins to pin. There's 3 people for Kevin Owens to pin. And there's 3 people for Lashley to win. There's not that many possibilities. There's like 12. and 3 of them favour Big E, but only 3 of them favour Kevin Owens, and only 3 of them favour Seth Rollins, and only 3 of them favour Lashley. But I know they build up title multi-man matches the same way every time, like by saying, oh, the champion's at a disadvantage, he's more likely to lose the title than retain it, and blah 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 blah. But this time they're building it up so dramatically, almost infinite possibilities, and none of them favour Big E. Yeah, I think Big E wins. Like, just because of that, honestly. You know, like, sometimes it's just one thing gives you an inkling to what they're thinking, or what you believe they're thinking. And, hey, look, Swerve, he overcame all the odds. Also, Lashley's still technically heel, I think, so the babyface overcoming 3 heels. It's actually kind of a problem, overcoming the top 3 heels in one match, because now what? Now who? You know, kind of thing. But, cross that bridge when I come to it, I guess. I'm predicting Big E. So, to quickly run down my predictions, on the pre-show I'm predicting Ridge Holland and Sheamus to beat Cesaro and Ricochet. Then I'm predicting RK Bro to retain the WWE Raw Tag Team Championships against the Street Profits. I'm predicting Drew McIntyre to beat Madcap Moss. Predicting Becky Lynch to retain the Raw Women's Championship against Liv Morgan. Edge to beat The Miz. The New Day to take the SmackDown Tag Team Championships from the Usos. Roman Reigns to retain the title, the Universal title, against Brock Lesnar. And Big E to retain the WWE Championship against Bobby Lashley, Kevin Owens, and Seth Rollins. If all of those people get to day 1, because it's a bit up in the air, isn't it? But let me know in the comments what your predictions are for the show. I'd be curious to know. Leave me a like if you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe, because I'm obviously going to do a review where we talk about the show and about my predictions and how much I failed. So that'll be fun. That'll be tomorrow, so a good reason to subscribe. And yeah, I'm back. And there will be a channel update eventually about where I've been and where I'm going to be and what I'm going to be doing. But for now, you'll just have to wait and see. Suspense. You definitely want to subscribe now. But for now, all I have left to say is thank you very much for watching, listening, I guess. As always, I've been EBEZA, you've been amazing, and I will see you next time.